Most childhood trauma doesn't come from what happened to you. It comes from what never happened. That awkward high five you initiated but was left hanging. The apology that never came. And of course, those awkward social moments that were left hanging by the people who were literally next to you. These aren't just low self-esteem memories. They're blueprints your nervous system built to survive. And they show up as triggers so subtle, you probably don't even realize they're running your life. And until you see them, you can't break free. The silent panic of doing nothing wrong. Have you ever felt uneasy, even when everything seems fine? You didn't forget anything. You didn't upset anyone. Logically, you know you're in the clear. And yet, your body doesn't believe it. Your heart races when a text goes unanswered. You replay your words in a meeting to check for hidden mistakes. You tiptoe around the house when someone's in a bad mood. This is the silent panic of the invisible tripwire. As a kid, you learned that safety wasn't predictable. A parent's mood could flip in an instant. One moment you were loved, the next you were scolded, mocked, or worse. So you developed hypervigilance, not just to avoid punishment, but to avoid losing connection. And now, even as an adult, your nervous system is still scanning for danger. The sound of a sigh, a pause in conversation, an unread message, your brain interprets them all as possible threats. Here's the painful part. You might not even notice you're doing it. It just feels like being responsible or being careful. But it's not. It's the terrified child in you still believing, if I stay perfect, maybe I won't be hurt again. And the reason this keeps resurfacing, we'll get to that in a moment. But first, there's another hidden trigger that might be running your relationships without you realizing it, when helping is actually self-abandonment. You're the dependable one, the one who says yes, the one who drops everything when someone needs you. It feels good to help, until it doesn't. Until you're up at 2 a.m. finishing someone else's project. Until you're drained from carrying everyone's emotions but your own. Until resentment creeps in like a shadow you can't shake. This isn't kindness or generosity, it's just a survival strategy. Somewhere along the way, you learned, my needs don't matter. Because every time you tried to assert them, it backfired. A slammed door, a disappointed sigh, maybe even punishment. So you adapted. You became the caretaker, the peacekeeper, the one who anticipates everyone else's needs before your own. You weren't loved for who you were. You were valued for what you could provide. And now, even when no one's asking, you're still scanning the room for ways to earn your place. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. If saying no makes you feel guilty, it means your inner child still fears rejection. And there's a deeper layer to this, one that explains why you can't stop overgiving, even when it hurts. We'll unpack that next. The crushing weight of someone being mad at you. It's subtle at first. A coworker doesn't smile at you today. A friend doesn't text back with their usual emojis. Your partner says, "We need to talk." And just like that, your stomach sinks. You replay every interaction, scanning for mistakes. You craft apology texts in your head, even when you're not sure what you did wrong. This isn't just social anxiety. It's not being too sensitive. It's your inner child remembering how dangerous anger used to be. Maybe as a kid, a parent's anger felt like an earthquake. Loud, sudden, impossible to predict. Maybe their love came with conditions, and one wrong move could strip it away. So you learned early, don't upset anyone, ever. Even now, as an adult, your nervous system still acts like someone else's bad mood could shatter your world. Here's the painful irony. This fear of conflict often leads to more conflict. You over-explain. You people please. You avoid honest conversations until resentment builds. And deep down, you're not really afraid of their anger. You're afraid of being abandoned. But what if you didn't have to carry that fear anymore? What if you could sit with someone's frustration without crumbling inside? That's possible, but only after you confront the next hidden trigger. And it's one most people never realize is running their lives. The trap of reading between the lines. You walk into a room and instantly sense the tension. Your partner says they're fine, but you hear the tightness in their voice. Your boss sends a quick feedback email, and you read it over and over, trying to decode their tone. Sound familiar? This isn't intuition. This is hypervigilance. You're constantly scanning for unspoken cues, hidden meanings, emotional shifts. Because as a child, you had to. Inconsistent parenting taught you that words couldn't be trusted. Everything's okay didn't mean safety. It meant walking on eggshells until the next explosion. So you developed an emotional X-ray vision. You could feel shifts in energy. You sense when storms were coming, and it kept you alive back then. But it's exhausting. You're not just living your own emotions, you're carrying everyone else's too. And the worst is that you've started to believe that their feelings are your responsibility. This is why you overanalyze texts from someone who isn't even that important to you. For example, a local plumber, someone who left your message on read, pisses you off because you don't sense the urgency or respect to immediately message you back. This is also why you can't relax when someone's off, and why you bend over backwards to fix moods that aren't yours to fix. But here's a question no one ever asks you. What would it feel like to let people have their emotions without making them yours? Hold on to that thought, because the next trigger might be the reason you can't stop bracing for the worst, even when life is calm. The agony of not knowing. You're waiting for a reply, an email from your boss, a text from someone you care about, or maybe just life to feel steady for once. But in the silence, your mind fills the gaps. What if they're angry? What if I said something wrong? What if it's all falling apart? This is a nervous system addicted to certainty, because as a child, certainty meant survival. When you were small, there were no guarantees. Would there be dinner tonight? Would mom come home happy or furious? Would dad even show up at all? So you waited and worried and learned to live in the in-between. Now as an adult, even minor uncertainty can feel like standing at the edge of a cliff, waiting for the other shoe to drop. You overthink, you ruminate, you try to control the outcome in your head, because sitting in ambiguity feels unbearable. But here's the hard truth. Ambiguity isn't the enemy. It's your body remembering a time when you didn't feel safe enough to let go. What if the real skill isn't figuring everything out, but learning how to feel secure even when you can't? That might sound impossible right now, but when you hear the final trigger, it'll all start to click. When praise feels like a trap. You work hard, you do your best, and when someone finally compliments you, you smile, you say thanks. But deep down, it doesn't land. Instead, there's a weird tightness in your chest, and you interrupted the situation. A voice whispering, "Don't get too comfortable. They are actually making fun of you." This is what happens when praise was a weapon in your childhood. Maybe a parent only praised you when you performed. or used sarcastic compliments to manipulate you into doing more. Maybe your parents were horrible communicators who didn't understand their poor word choice could have impacted you. Maybe good job was always followed by, but why didn't you do this too? So now, praise doesn't feel safe. It feels like bait that led to total dismiss. Even worse, you might crave validation while also distrusting it, creating a cycle where no amount of recognition feels real or enough. This is about an inner child who learned that approval was conditional. But imagine this. What if you could receive praise, not as a transaction, but as a gift? What if your worth didn't depend on being perfect, useful, or impressive? To get there, though, you'll have to unlearn something even deeper, and that's what we're about to uncover next. Maybe for the first time, you realize why life feels heavier than it should. Maybe you're too nice and always get screwed by people. Then watch this one next.